So welcome everyone to another session where we're going to have something different installed for this one. We're going to talk on language patterns, but I'd like to play through a little part of an actual client hypnotic journey. So you can hear the language patterns, and Teresa and I, we're going to be talking about what they are and why I'm doing it. And hopefully this will give you a bit of a taster on what's in store if you want to become a clinical hypnotherapist and learn the art of hypnosis. Now, I do lean into using a lot of Ericksonian language patterns along with other things as well. So as you start to learn more and more about these, if some of you out there have already started to study, then that's awesome. You'll pick those up. But for those that this is all new to you, trust me, when we start to talk about it, after a while, when you hear these things over and over again, they become more and more familiar, don't they?
They sure do. Yeah.
Yeah. So welcome, Teresa.
Thank you, Meredith. Look forward to this week's session. Being back on
Excellent.
here again.
So I'm going to share my screen so we can just go through this and stop and start and just explain a little bit as we go. So as you come into stillness, I invite you just to allow your eyes to go into a soft focus, almost as if you could see out to the peripheral side of you without fully looking there, but just getting that sense that it's there. So you're not really focusing on anything in particular, you're just gently looking out into the room, the space, and you might notice your breath. So we're just going to stop there and talk on this one. You might notice. Now, why might I say you might versus and you notice your breath?
Because you don't want them to go into a state where it's like, oh, I can't feel my nose. You don't want their attention to drift off elsewhere and bring them out of the state of relaxation that they're going into.
Hmm. So when we use words like you might, you could, maybe you're using this sort of soft, permissive language there, and it softly directs attention to where you want them to go, but without necessarily being too direct at this point.
Mm. It's increasing their sense of autonomy and comfort, isn't it, by using that non-directive way?
Absolutely.
You might notice how comforting and wonderful it can be to focus on the breath for a little bit, to enter into that wonderful hypnosis where your eyes just feel like closing when they close, and as they do that, your breath becomes increasingly and wonderfully hypnotic, where that hypnosis allows you to deeply relax.
Now, I'm using a relaxation technique to take someone into hypnosis. And not all hypnotherapists do that, do they?
No, no, some people don't do that. They do a lot quicker, different
Mm.
type of induction.
Saying that, though, I know it's going to promote this calm well-being. This particular client was really stressed, and they were taking time off work, in fact, 6 weeks, because they had some physical issues because of the stress that they were under. And they were in a very, very high paced job and feeling it really hard to balance work and life. So, time management, things like that. So, this is why the client came in, and they were presenting with a lot of discomfort in the body, and actually had 6 weeks off to recover and needed to start getting engaged into work again in about 2 weeks from the time that we did this. So it was really important that this client could kind of start to feel better and time manage better. So you're going to hear a couple of those ideas being brought in. Any thoughts about that, Teresa?
Um, the relaxation for somebody, especially when they've been really busy, is a good way, and using your indirect suggestions and your permissive language helps guide them into that relaxing state. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's listen to another little part.
To fully relax throughout your entire body. You feel your heavy, heavy head completely relaxing. Your cheeks, your jaw, your mouth, your tongue relaxing. And as you let go of each breath, just giving permission for that wonderful wave of hypnotic relaxation to melt into every part of you magically.
Now, even though it may seem like they have choice, they don't. So I'm saying, and give permission. It's a very direct suggestion to what they're going to do. They don't have real permission to decide whether they're going to give themselves permission or not, but it will feel like it is.
And you've started to introduce sensory language as well by moving through the different parts of the body relaxing, which then evokes the senses as well, because your tongue relaxing is going to have a completely different sensation to your neck and shoulders when it relaxes.
And often we don't even tune in actually and check out how we're feeling in our body. So when we're doing a bit of a body scan, if we can get that client to actually properly relax, quite often those areas of tension that belong to tension thinking can relax as well. So let's start this next bit.
You feel your neck and shoulders relax. Your arms, your hands, your fingers relax. You feel all the muscles in your back relax. Your upper back, your middle back, your lower back. You allow that wonderful wave of calm to enhance your feelings of well-being, that wonderful relaxed mindset to enhance all your future versions of you to come. Will you notice a distance forming between the old anxiety cycle and...
So we're just going to talk on this one. You notice the distance forming between the old anxiety cycle. So why is that important to create distance for the client? What's your take on that, Teresa?
Because we want them to start looking at it in a different way. So we're actually reframing it for the client. It helps them to create a mental separation from anxiety and promotes a shift to a more positive state by introducing the idea of the newer, healthier way of living.
Because quite often when a client comes in, they're in that state of anxiety when they're coming in for help, right? So we want to break that and make sure that they know, hey, that's the past. Now we're moving forward. We're moving and we're going away from that old cycle. Now, the idea of the cycle came from the client's description of her own cycle. So I reutilised the client's words when I used the word cycle because it was something that she had brought up in our conversation before the hypnosis. So she had identified that this was a cycle of behaviour. So I reframed that in a more useful way. Yeah.
A distance forming between the old anxiety cycle and a new way of being in the world, where you're relaxed and well-paced in all that you do, where you get to enjoy your downtime, the art of nothing in particular, in a really wonderful and gentle way, in a way that makes sense to you. As you relax through your whole upper body, as you relax into your legs, your feet, your toes. So from the top of your head, right down to the base of your feet, that wonderful wave of hypnosis.
And we're going to talk about the wave of hypnosis. Can hypnosis be a wave?
If you want it to be a wave, it can be a wave.
This is where, when we're in hypnosis, let's say we have a glass, okay? We've got a glass. Now, is hypnosis a thing that you can touch?
Well, in my perspective, no, it's not a thing that you can touch. No.
We're making it into a thing. So we're using the wave as something that is a thing, like a wave is a thing, right?
Mm.
So you can touch a wave of water. You can kind of feel the waves of sound and see the waves of light. So we understand what waves are. So now we're turning hypnosis into a wave. So it's this clever little language where we're making it into something, and that client takes that on board and makes it true. It's a really cool thing that we do as hypnotherapists.
Is relaxing you perfectly, where you begin to feel so heavy, so relaxed, that it enhances your brain waves.
Now, this is a cause and effect language pattern. So what am I creating here? That what does what? So let's just play that back and see if you can hear it.
Where you begin to feel so heavy, so relaxed, that it enhances your brain waves. And your brain waves of activity can start to imagine positive things.
Can you hear the cause and effect?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
So
where you, sorry. It's where you've given a positive suggestion and reinforcement, saying that, and well, you're directly telling them they're feeling heavy and they're feeling so relaxed, and you're using your tonal language as well to bring that cause even deeper into that client's body, imagination, and feeling.
As you daydream into the future and imagine your best and ultimate self thriving, doing a wonderful job at things. And as you realize how fluid and wonderful your imagination is, you realize what an asset it can be to imagine success time and time again. What it looks like, sounds like, feels like, that is in line with your values.
So we're using the sensory sides of things, what it looks like, sounds like, feels like. We are incorporating ego strengthening, and we're allowing the client to time travel into the future, imagining their best self. So these are direct, very leading ideas, and the client, because they're not resistant anymore, just goes with it. So I don't have to set it up in a really hard way and say, I would like you now to imagine yourself and all of that language. We can just slide in. We can just invite the client to go there now, and it is so quick. And the client does. Yeah. What are you hearing there, Teresa?
Yeah, definitely your positive reinforcement, your encouragement, you're using imagination, you're repeating that successful visualization, and you're trying to reinforce or I should say, you are enforcing the habit of positive thinking by future pacing that as well.
That enhances the you that you are wanting to experience. And it's amazing how we can begin to enhance those good feelings time and time again.
Now, this is an unspecified good feelings. Like, what good feelings? This is another hypnotic language pattern where we're not specifying what the feelings are. We're presupposing that the client knows what they would be. So the client is joining the dots inside their mind, and they're making it make sense.
Yeah. You're emphasizing that value of positive imagination and their success.
Feelings that allow you to stay steady, strong.
And that again was another cause and effect. Feelings that allow you to stay steady and strong. So they're going to link up to the desired result. These are woven all throughout actually this particular hypnotic journey.
Focused. So you can strategically balance your working week out.
Now, this is the beginning of reinforcing the client's words. So in the the time before we do the formal hypnosis, we've already talked about what are her goals, dreams, desires, what's her ultimate self. So I've gathered a lot of intel before you've actually done this particular part of the journey. How important do you reckon that is, Teresa, to sort of get the client's words?
I think it's absolutely essential. It's crucial. It's a real vital part. And I think, unfortunately, sometimes that is missed. It keeps rapport, and you're doing your journey on your client's level then by using their words, but also your client knows that you've listened to them because you're relaying back the story that they've actually told you.
So when we listen to this next little part, you're going to hear it being added on to, where we're really inviting the client to see what she was talking to me about, but come to life. So this is really important as part of her experience to imagine success.
Starting at a specific time and finishing at a specific time. Having that break on time. As you reclaim your personal time back. As you realize how precious that personal time actually is. How you are way more than just your job. That you are this human being doing a journey that's allowed to have fun, that's allowed to relax, that's allowed to have wonderful experiences as you go out and about and do all sorts of different things. But sometimes it's also quite nice to just do the art of nothing in particular, just to sit and be, to breathe, to be at peace with yourself and the world around you. Will you wake up feeling more empowered every day? Will you wake up feeling optimistic?
So we're future pacing here. And what are we doing? Getting her or that person to wake up and feel these certain feelings automatically. So we're priming that client into having that experience.
And by priming, you're empowering her and giving her back that realization that she has the right to enjoy life and relax and to foster a sense of freedom and well-being.
And that's, a post-hypnotic suggestion. So when she actually wakes up the next day, this particular suggestion will start to work upon her. And that's what we want to embed. And it happens so quickly and subtly. So just, start to tune in. What is a direct suggestion? How is that being woven into here as part of the client's ability to hallucinate success?
And organized in all the right ways, because you've got your values around how you time manage in order. You've begun to create strategic decisions around how you manage your time. That strangely gives you time back to do more important things, like the art of nothing in particular, where you're okay to just be you, to just journey through the day, in a gentle way.
I just want to go back to that and just share why that was important, and that self-validation. This particular client was a high performer, and when we looked at the past, there was definitely times where this client didn't have the sense of acknowledgement unless she did really well. And so in this journey, this is where we're building on that idea that it's okay to just be you. To just be you. You don't have to be more than you are. You don't have to please everyone else all the time. It's okay just to be you. This was a big part of her journey of self-acceptance.
Yeah. And I think that's very important to actually use and reinforce with your clients, that we don't have to be people pleasers all the time. You can please yourself. Sometimes you need to take time for yourself.
Absolutely.
Or you could go and visit someone if you wanted. Or you can choose to just hang out at home. Either choice is perfect. And you do the one that feels right to you at that moment in time. And you begin to trust that you know which one feels right. You begin to trust in your judgment.
This is definitely a big part of what this particular client was battling with, is internal trust. Feeling like imposter, the old imposter syndrome. And that was definitely mentioned in the conversations I had with this client. So, with that empowerment and trusting in their own decisions, it's a big part of building that autonomy. Quite often people will describe the need for external validation. There's nothing wrong with that to a degree, but if that's the only way you can ever believe that you were good enough, you probably need to work on that a little. It's important to be our own inner cheerleader and sort of back ourselves regardless of whether anyone else agrees. Sometimes it's good to hold your space. Yeah.
And you're giving a bit of future pacing there as well. You're encouraging your client to be proactive with their time management and use strategic planning, empowering the client to take control of their own schedule as well.
Trust in that spaciousness. Begin to feel better and better as each day moves to the next one.
Feel better and better in every way, every day. Emile Coué, look, this is magical when it comes to hypnosis. Every day in every way, you just get better and better. You feel better and better. Using little language patterns like that is quite magical, and it's just sprinkled in. It's so quick. You can hear it just again. So you can just hear it, and we'll go.
Begin to feel better and better as each day moves to the next one. And isn't it interesting how quickly things can change? Like that sensation of needing coffee and then suddenly realizing you don't.
So this is a question and curiosity. The client had already told me that they had given up coffee because of the anxiety and stuff. So they were feeling really proud of that. So I utilized that within this, the ego strengthening, and how interesting how quickly things can change. Now, it's not just belonging to the coffee, but it's things in general. It's more broad. So we're starting to use sort of a more generalized description. So the client will make it make sense in the way that they would like to as they move forward. What are your thoughts on that, Teresa?
I think it's really good when, again, it shows that you've listened to your client, you're weaving that in. It will make sense to the client. They will use it for other things other than just the coffee. It's again realization, and it's a positive reinforcement that they can do this, that they can change, they can move forwards.
Need it anymore. That you feel better without it. And isn't it interesting how just with a little tweak, your body can begin to rapidly heal itself, to begin to maintain a feeling of balance and equilibrium.
So this client was presenting with extreme discomfort and pain, where it forced her to have to take 6 weeks off work because of it. Her shoulder and her back, and she was just out of whack. So again, we're inviting the idea of healing. We're inviting the idea of quickly healing and how a body can do what it needs to do. What are your thoughts on that, Teresa?
So the mind is an amazing, powerful tool, and quite often we actually use it for negative framing in our lives. But if we can move that in the negative framing so quickly, then why can't we change it to positive thinking? And reinforcement? And sometimes we already know this, it's deep inside us. We just need that little bit of encouragement to actually think, yeah, I know I can do this.
Yeah,
I know that.
I thought we'll stop sharing that part of it and finish off with just a general conversation. A lot of times when students do start, the language patterns, we've got quite a lot in both the NLP and the Ericksonian module that look into different language patterns. And at first, it can be extremely overwhelming. But they're language patterns that exist. It's not something that we don't naturally do anyway. So we often talk in metaphor to one another. We understand that. We're storytellers. And when we use it in a hypnotic way for particular reasons, it's about how do we land that suggestion with the most effective to make the biggest effect. So, practice equals perfect. If you guys want to learn about how you use hypnotic language and how you can gain information from the client and really create a journey that is specific to them. It's not script bound anymore. You've understood the foundations of suggestion and the impact that good suggestions can have. This is what training is all about. So most of my students over the years, they're very, very, like, oh, I'm never going to get this. And by the end, they've got it. They're starting to use it really proficiently. And the more you work with clients, the better it gets. So don't you agree, Teresa?
Oh, definitely. And I mean, you're there to support your students. You will have lots of little snippets and bits and pieces for students to be able to go back, look at, to check. You're so easy to talk to and approach for asking questions. So I really would recommend somebody, if they are thinking about doing hypnosis, to check out your website, to have a look and give you a call, have a talk if they've got questions that they want answering that they can't find on your website.
Yeah. Just visit www.nzach.ac.nz for more details on courses. Look, one of the things that I just want to finish up here with is that in the student portal, you're going to get these sort of tutorials where you can watch and pause and see the description of which language pattern I'm using. So it's a really nice way of learning, because sometimes when you're just listening or reading about it, but not together, it doesn't always stick. So that's the neat thing about having pre-recorded stuff that is actually being broken down specifically for teaching purposes. You get the benefit of that. So you get to hear all sorts of different client sessions that I'm having, and I get to explain as you go through why I'm doing what I'm doing, so you can kind of really take that on board. And if you didn't get it first time, you can go and re-watch it all over again. This is the great thing about I guess the world we live in now. We can create these really amazing assets of knowledge that people can partake in their time, in their way.
definitely. And I mean, it might not make sense when you're actually reading it on paper, but then you've got that video to look at. You might think, that's what they actually mean by that. And now I understand it.
Yeah. So look, that's our time up for now. But look, join us again in another week. And if you have any questions, pop it down. You can visit the website as well and just send us an email and ask questions, or you can go onto the YouTube and do a little bit of a comment and question there. We'd love to talk on those questions at some point. But we will be rolling out different topics and talking about our take on it. And yeah, I hope that you're enjoying the series. You can also join us on Spotify and many other platforms for our podcast weekly. So look forward to the next round. So thank you again, Teresa. Is there anything final that you'd like to say to everyone out there?
Just like, share, and subscribe. And hopefully we hear from you at some point through the school.
Excellent. So
Take care,
have a
everyone.
great day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.